what an iconic figure in American history that represented both good and evil. And talking about the good, I actually kind of grew up with O.J. Simpson. I was a kid when in 1973, he broke the 2,000-yard rushing record while playing for the Buffalo Bills against the New York Jets. Then, of course, I saw him in the movies, Naked Gun, and who can forget him running through the airports in the Hertz commercials. Then we get to the evil that we learned about him, the domestic violence where he abused Nicole Brown while he was married to her. And all that was covered up because of his celebrity status. We failed to look at it. And then, of course, we come to the graphic murders where he just about decapitated her with a knife and then carved up her young friend, Ron Goldman, and it left a trail of blood all the way back to Rockingham where his residence was. And then we can't forget the white Bronco and the chase through Los Angeles because he wasn't going to turn himself in. He was driven by his teammate, A.C. Collins, and threatening to kill himself. And of course, 95 million viewers watched that chase that you're showing right now. It interrupted the 1994 NBA Finals. Everybody was focused on this white Bronco, which ultimately everyone focused on the first historic trial, the criminal trial of O.J. Simpson. And we learned names like Judge Ito, Johnny Cochran, which you mentioned, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. But he failed to tell us that he didn't give O.J. his arthritis medicine so his hands could swell. And plus, he was wearing a latex glove, and that might be the reason why the glove didn't fit. The evidence was overwhelming, but we learned something. A predominantly black jury was not going to in any way condemn O.J. Simpson and find him guilty of these heinous murders. In fact, we learned the term jury nullification. I was a brand new lawyer, and all this was watching these trials. We just gravitated to it and seeing how this played out in court. And we couldn't understand. Evidence overwhelming. How could a jury come back and say, regardless of the evidence, we're going to take the side of O.J. Simpson and release him? And then ultimately, in 2007, he writes a book that basically confesses, lays out the killing of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. Just all out there. What a fall of this iconic figure and what we learn of a deep, dark secret about him. And America seemed to embrace it. Riley, it wouldn't shock me if we don't rename the Baltimore Bridge the O.J. Simpson, Orenthal James Simpson Bridge. That's how crazy we have become over going after and somewhat adoring these type of people. And it's a shame. But that was a graphic murder. We learned so much during that time about it. It generated so many names. Greta Van Susteren. Mm-hmm. We learned of Talk TV, how it all came in, because that's all we were focused on every day was that trial and what went on inside that trial. Yeah. And it consumed Americans' life, Americans' time.
Yeah, it did. And I was just wondering, because you mentioned that, so you were a brand new lawyer, you were just sort of getting going. Now you have a little more experience as an attorney. Has your viewpoint of the way the trial was handled changed now that you've actually been in this field a little longer and you've had, I mean, because when you're first looking at it, I'm not sure what you were thinking, but in terms of jury selection, in terms of discovery, in terms of the way the case was handled, has your viewpoint changed on that now that you've practiced more law and sort of now you can look back on it?
One of the defense attorneys, Robert Shapiro, who actually was the lead attorney but then was replaced by Johnny Cochran, I actually corresponded with him right after the trial by way of written correspondence, and we talked. And if you remember, one of the things that Johnny Cochran did, and he did it well, and he had to zealously represent his client, he played the race card, and he played it well. One thing that Robert Shapiro said was that not only did Johnny Cochran play the race card, but he pulled it from the bottom of the deck. And that's what he did. And I can't fault him. He had to represent his client. But one thing you did learn is that juries can do things, and I even look at this today when I'm dealing with my own criminal cases and civil cases, is juries can do things that are totally unpredictable, and they don't make sense. Now, one thing you have to understand is that what the public sees on TV, the average juror may not get to see it evidence-wise. It may be withheld by the judge for evidentiary reasons, which shows you why a judge is so important in refereeing these type of cases. So you have to know your judge, you have to know your jury and how to pick the jury in all these type of cases, because it all plays a significant role in this.